The Part 2 banners have been revealed, but are they worth your Dragonstones? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. It is that time again. We have the Part 2 Carnival LR banners for the Super Saiyan Trunks, Sword of Hope Trunks, and the future Gohan. And the question on everyone's mind is, should I summon? Are they worth our Dragon Stones? So, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at several different things to determine whether or not it is worth your stones to summon on this banner. As always, we will take a look at the units themselves, determine if the units are good enough to carry the banners and summon for. Then we'll take a look at all the known banner units that are to be available on the banner and determine whether or not that assists in its value. And then finally, we will look at what lies ahead. What are some things you should be wary of that may either raise or lower the value of the banners for you? So let's kick things off by taking a look at the two new units, starting with the Sword of Hope Trunks. He is Time Traveler's category key 3, attack defense 200%. On his 18 key, he is raising defense infinitely and greatly raising attack for the turn. He's also raising attack defense for 1 turn on his 12 key. Now, he does have an entrance animation, and he gets key 3 and launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance of becoming a super attack for 4 turns from the start of turn. He also gets key 3, defense 150%. He's an additional attack 100% when performing a super attack. He gets an additional key 1 up 5 and defense 10 up to 50 with each attack performed. He reduces damage received by 10% within the same turn with each super attack performed. He also has an additional 100% and launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack as the second or third attacker in a turn. He launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack starting from the 5th turn from the start of battle. So, like his tech counterpart, right, those first few turns of defense raising are instrumental for him, especially if you get him turn 2, right, or God forbid, turn 3. You really have to hope for the additional supers that he is launching, because when he gets those, not only is he raising his defense on the first, he's getting a little extra attack and defense on his 12 key, and to add to that, he's building up damage reduction for the turn up to 30%. So post super 30%, like if you get lucky and get a triple super with him, then he's going to be looking really solid defensively for the first turn or two, but he can get caught early on if you don't proc that 70%. And if AAGL Goku has taught us anything about 70% chances, is that sometimes it could feel like the opposite of 30% chance. So something to be aware of with this unit. Outside of that, once you make it past that 2nd or 3rd turn of build with him, he is phenomenal. He's already hitting really hard, by the way, right? Like, we're talking, he's coming out the gate, if you at rainbow status, we're talking 11 million attack stats coming out the gate, right, on the first super. Beyond that, though, right, like at 55%, it's like 8 million, I think, which is still pretty good. So he's gonna be looking solid. But once you make it past that turn or 2, you can then activate his standby skill. Now, nothing changes in his super attack in terms of the standby skill. It is exactly the same. He's still raising defense for infinitely on his 18 and for the turn on his 12 key. His passive is the main place that changes, right? Now he's getting key 12 and defense defense 200%. He has an additional attack 150% when performing a super attack. Launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack and reduces damage received by 50% for 1 turn from the start of turn. He guards all attack and launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack as the first attacker in a turn. He launches an additional super attack with 5 or more key spheres obtained, and randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres. So this unit is really designed to push the defense those first couple of turns and then push yourself into this standby to use as your finishing move. Remember, the standby basically raises the charge account 50% per turn, and then after, you know, whenever you're ready to activate it within the 4 turns, right, you can then activate it. So the more turns that go by prior to activating it, the stronger it's going to be. Now, the thing about him is, once he's transformed or standbyed, he then becomes more of a slot 1 unit. Ideally, you would have built up enough defense that the guard and the 50% damage reduction will allow him to tank slot 1 and continue to build there, protecting the rest of your rotation. Obviously, if you're running him next to like Future Gohan, then just keep Future Gohan here, but realistically, the guy is solid. You just got to be careful those first turns. So overall, looking very, very good. Let's take a look though at his counterpart. Future Saga for the Gohan, key 3, HP attack and defense 200%. He is greatly raising his attack and raising defense for the turn on his 12 key. His 18 key is massively raising attack and greatly raising attack for greatly raising defense for the turn while causing mega colossal damage. On his passive, he's activating entrance animation once only. He's reducing damage received by 40% for 5 turns. Key 5. He's also getting key 3 and attack defense 158%. He gets an additional key 1 up to 5 and attack defense 20% up to 100% with each attack performed. He reduces damage received by 20% and an additional damage reduction 20%, and launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack when key is 18 or more. He launches an additional attack when key is 20 or more and creates the domain for 5 turns from the 5th turn from the start of turn. While the domain is active, he changes int key spheres to STR key spheres at the start of the attacking turn and performs a critical hit when the active skill or when key is 24. His active skill massively raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage and to the enemy, and gives key 5 and defense 20% in battle. His domain reduces the damage received by and given to extreme class Future Saga enemies, if I remember correctly. So it's pretty good. It's very, very helpful, as all domains are, and he himself is probably in argument for the best unit in the game. He basically again, he is a slot 1 god, and he is getting up to 80% damage reduction by the time he's done doing all of his attacks. So he's kind of nuts. And the nice thing is, right, him and the Trunks can be run together. You know, you flip Trunks into standby, by the time you put him into standby, this guy's initial 5 turns is up, and then now you have Trunks to cover slot 1, while this guy is still building his damage reduction with his additional attacks in slot 2. So pretty good. Like I said, he is in argument for the best unit in the game. This dude is hitting some amazing attack numbers. So that brings us to the question for the units. Should you summon on these banners? I'm going to go ahead and say that the better value of the two is probably the Gohan in the long term, and I regrettingly say this as a Trunks fan. The Gohan is probably better for you in the long run, but if you're someone who enjoys the standby skills and Trunks is your guy, I don't think you're wrong for summoning for either. Both have extremely good value, especially if you're someone, say, who like missed out on the Z duo, right? He's like a miniature Z duo. His active, I don't think is gonna, I'll have to test it some more, but I don't think it hits as hard as the Spirit Bomb, but it's still going to be hitting pretty hard once you do finally activate it. So I'm going to give 1 in the category for each banner, right? So 1 for the units on each banner, 1 for Trunks, 1 for Gohan. So that brings us to the questions of the banner. So do the banners have units that carry them? Are they worthy of your summon? Well, starting with Trunks' banner here, as we can see, we have the LR Future Gohan and Trunks. We have Birdku's return, as expected. We have LR BULMA on Global. Now, this is Int Kid Gohan on JP and the Int Fusion Zama's. On global side of things for Future Gohan's banner, we have the STR Carnival Goku, who actually, very, very surprisingly, our prediction came true. I had a feeling they would bring him back, and sure enough, they did. So, STR Carnival Goku on Gohan's banner. We have Tech Goku and Gohan. AGL Super Buu. He was a bit unexpected. I felt like he was too soon, but hey, he's here. And then the return of the Fizz Metal Cooler. Now, there are probably more thematically appropriate LRs on here. Like, I imagine Int Rose is probably on one of the banners. He's just not featured on the main one. On JP, he is, but it's worthy of note that there are going to be up to 7 LRs on the banner. Now, looking at the two, it's hard to say because on JP, because Kai Goku is here instead of Carnival Goku, Gohan's banner is the better banner for most people. However, on Global, we've got BULMA over here, and I would say that above both Gohan, outside of Gohan himself, above every other unit on both banners, BULMA immediately skyrockets the value of Trunks' banner. I cannot understate how important of a unit she is to teams, especially for teams being run under the AGL Goku and Vegeta, under AGL Vegito, right? On a 150% lead, this woman is still tanking hits from the hardest bosses in the game and providing support. And, you know, if you actually manage to make it to turn 7 on most of these fights, you're talking about an incredible active skill turn. So, just worthy of note here that the Trunks value is much better on the global version of things. So, looking at the available units, I'm gonna say that's one in the category for the banners on both global and JP. More so Gohan on JP, but looking on global, both banners pretty much have equal value because this guy has a scatter effect. He has similar support to the BULMA, right? He's giving 50% defensive support when on rotation, but if you can actually build him up and get him into slot 1, he's giving 50% attack support on his super attack. So he's an amazing unit, right? I have him with a dupe in him, and he's pretty amazing. He's tanking every hit like BULMA, not as much as BULMA, but still fully built up. He's tanking most hits in the game post super. So worthy of note that I think on global, both banners have equal value. So knowing that, I would give it 1 for Gohan, 1 for Trunks. So we're 2 for 2 on our recommendation. So all that leaves is to look at what lies ahead. And so let's start with the October Dokkan Fest. More than likely, October's Dokkan Fest is going to be the Dokkan Fest Turles. This will return the Yamcha and the Bardock, as well as bring Turles and his minions here. The banner itself is actually a really good banner if you're somebody who's just starting out. Yamcha has a great leader skill if you didn't pick up the Earthbred Fighters lead through the Tech World Tournament Goku. Bardock, not the greatest, but he does have a scouter effect, which is very helpful for a lot of teams, especially if you're running a Goku. He's very helpful. Turles himself is probably easily one of the best extreme class units released this year, next to the Tech Zama's. So just worthy of note that he's good. The problem is, like the Ginyu who came before him, he needs at least one of these guys to be somewhat runnable. I'm not saying he's bad without them, but without Amen and Dates here, like, he can run into some issues, right? His other big issue is needing to be against superclass enemies, specifically Gokus and Gohans, which we just don't have those units yet. I mean, the best we got is the AGL Goku and Vegeta fight from from the Divine Wrath event. So it's worthy of note that it is a good banner, but this is the banner that is immediately following Worldwide. So most of your stones are probably spent from there. Following them, there will be a Part 2 LR banner for the Int Tree of Might Goku, but I mean, we'll talk about that another time. I don't think it's worthy of consideration at this point. What is worthy of consideration is at the end of that month, we will get this banner, the Fantastically Spooky Dokkan Festival, right? The Halloween banner, and this year stands to be a pretty good banner. So if you missed out on any major units this year, outside of the New Year's Step Up, this is going to be your chance to pick them up, whether it be through coins or a discounted summon that they offer, right? So God Goku will be here, World Tournament Piccolo and Goku will be here, Gohan and Piccolo will be here, and I'm not sure who they'll fill in here. I'm guessing who was December last year, Vegeta and Trunks, who was before him. The ROF Blues and Tech Pan more than likely are going to be here. So this stands to be a reasonably decent banner if you missed any of these units throughout the year. This is probably a better chance to pick them up than even on the New Year's Step Up. Following this, we will get the release of one of two situations. I'm going to go with more than likely him, because it does make the most sense for the next celebration, but the thank you celebration should be the full power Super Saiyan Goku. If it's not him, I have another theory. I doubt it's going to be Super Trunks. I think Super Trunks might come in January. If it's not him, there'll be some, I imagine it's going to be a global exclusive banner, maybe something that might try to catch us up to be prepared for the upcoming global sync. But more than likely, this guy is going to be this, the thank you celebration in November. So this is an amazing banner, right? We've got the full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who next to Gohan and Vegito have an argument for some of the best units in the game. We have Vegeta and Trunks, we have the return of the Gammas once again. All in all, a pretty decent banner, and this guy himself is pretty awesome. So something to be aware of if you're somebody who's been waiting for full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, you may want to consider your summons. Moving forward from that, in December, we'll get whoever the December unit is. It could be JP's post-October Dokkan Fest, or it could be the Super Trunks. That remains to be seen, but I feel more than likely Super Trunks is going to come in January based on how they handled Super Vegeta, because this year is playing out very, very similar to that year in terms of releases. But we should get the Omega Shenron as the Double Raids banner in December. Now, since they moved Carnival Goku, he could still show up on this banner, but there's a good chance that, because I doubt they're going to make us wait till July to pull Kai Goku and Int Kid Gohan, they could show up on this Double Raids banner. So something worthy of your consideration. And then to close out the year, obviously we will have the New Year's Step Up. This is a step up that for 200 stones gets you basically 5 guaranteed characters. The first guaranteed character is a Extreme Z Awakened Super or Extreme class category leader, usually from the initial batch. Then the sort of 2019 batch for step 2 for 30 stones. Then step 3 is a guaranteed LR from the original batch, right? So if we look here, right, step 3 was this batch of LRs that was guaranteed. I imagine they will expand it into this batch, right? So step 3 will include these guys and these guys. And then step 4 was these Dokkan Fests from the year prior. Obviously, in this year, it'll be all of this past year's Dokkan festivals. So everybody from so everybody from, who was it? Who was the Dokkan Fest? Everybody from Tech Pan onwards will be on here as well. So just something to worry. I will say that since the release of the 200% meta, this banner, this was 2 years ago banner, it doesn't really matter because the value has gone significantly down for these, unless you're a brand spanking new player who is literally starting the moment this banner comes around. It's still a good chance to pick up LRs, but like last year, the LR only went up to LR Golden Frieza. On JP, but didn't go that far on global, right? So on global this year, this banner is probably going to go up to... Who would it be for us? Super Boo, right? So it'll have BULMA, it'll have, that's pretty much it, right? Because Golden Frieza was the only LR before that. We haven't gotten that many Yellow Coin LRs, and both of whom are on these banners here, right? So I would say that this year, knowing how often these 200% are coming and that a global sync is coming, is probably not the best banner in terms of where it used to be, right? So, but it is something you should be aware of that is coming. 200 stones, you get 5 steps, you get 2 Dokkan Fest Extreme Z Awakens in the first step, you get a guaranteed LR in the third, you get a 200% lead in the fourth, and then you get a guaranteed LR in the fifth from the newer Yellow Coin LR patches. So just something to be aware of. So knowing all of that, in terms of what lies ahead, I'm going to be completely honest, with exception of full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku and the anniversary in February, there isn't much else to be looking for, especially if you're a JP player, and we are anticipating that this global sync is coming sometime soon. So I would say that there's really no reason to wait. These banners are good, and it's probably going to be the last chance to see BULMA featured, at least until the anniversary, right? So if you're somebody who missed out on BULMA, I think that alone kind of carries whatever else is to come. So my overall recommendation, this celebration is giving out a ton of stones, so I will say this. If you've recouped your stones and you're anywhere above 600 stones during this celebration, I would say go for it. Give what you can into these banners. The banners will be discounted for the first multi for 30 stones. They will also be given a 3+1, just like the Carnival LRs during the anniversary and last year's worldwide. So I would say if you've got 600 stones or more, use what you got. It will be worth it. BULMA's here. The Trunks is really good. It's your another chance at Bird Coup. We got Gohan, arguably the best unit of the game. Cooler, Super Boo, STR, Carnival. Everything here is worth your value. So 600 stones or more, I say go for it. If you're anything below 500 or so, I would say maybe pick the banner you believe you will find the most value out. It's different for every player. And maybe do 1 or 2 rotations. Maybe even go all in at that point. But if you're anything below 300 stones or so, I would say do a rotation or 2 and then play it by ear as we continue down the rest of the celebration and gain more stones. There's still plenty more stones to come, but pace yourself, right? Don't go all in and leave yourself with nothing. So that is my tiered recommendation for the banner. Pick the banner that has the most value to you, and go for that one. On its face, though, I would say Gohan's is probably the better value, if only on JP, if only because Gohan himself is pretty amazing, and then on Global, Trunks is the better value because of BULMA. So just throwing that out there. One last thing I do want to add on Global, we do have Legendary Summon Carnival tickets available in the Peel-Offs Trove. They are probably going to run the same prices as the Dokkan Fest from the original one, so just keep that in mind. So if you're a pay-to-play, low-to-play, this might be an option for you. I just wanted to throw that out there. So anyways, guys, that is our video. If you liked our video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I know that was a lot to digest, but there's a lot we have to make sure we consider before we spend our hard-earned dragon stones. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below who you plan on summoning for, and if nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.